Today I'm Mr. Rotter's neighborhood. It's a cold, rainy day outside. I'm in the garage. I'm gonna work on the surface side of the trunk lid. I've already body worked, primed, painted the underside of the trunk lid, and I did that just to kind of get my technique dialed in and my gun dialed in and all that stuff. And if I screwed up something, it was just in an inconspicuous place. So it's on the bottom of the trunk lid. What a perfect place to start off, right? And so today we're gonna start working on the top of the trunk lid where kids had jumped on it. I pulled a lot of the dents out and took the oil canning out of it by pulling up on the low spots. So there's gonna be a lot of high spots now. So we're gonna go ahead and what we'll do is we'll throw down a guide coat of just some flat black primer or flat black paint or whatever I got in a can. And then we'll sand with the DA sander on it until we get down to, you can find the high spots and the low spots. So we'll start body working those some, and then maybe we'll throw some Bondo on it today. So stick around. All right, here's the surface side of the trunk lid. This whole entire driver's side was freaking hammered dog crap. It had been jumped on by kids. There was literally a footprint on one of these right here. This one is actually shaped like a child's shoe. So to be honest with you, I know it's got to be what it is. It's the only thing that makes sense. There's also another one over here that was low. And I just welded some nails on and pulled them up with a hammer, trying to make it three-dimensional, but I was trying to get some strength back in it so it wasn't oil canning anymore. And it doesn't seem to oil can too bad anymore. This is still real soft right here in this spot. But let's see. And this crease right here was just freaking mangled to death. I'm lucky I actually got it up and it's somewhat in the same shape, I guess. I'm just trying to, I'm hoping that it's low so that I can just add some Bondo in there. Less than a thickness of a dime. So the whole idea is just to get it straightened out. Now here's some body work somebody had already done. I sanded this down with my pneumatic longboard, and this is what I came up with. You can see it's still low right here, so they didn't perfect it by any means. Trying to get that level. So we'll just go ahead. We'll clean some of this because I got to get this lacquer off, otherwise it'll crack urethane paint. So I'll take it down a little bit more, and then we'll just add some more Bondo on there. And this seems to be fairly thin and not too bad, but we'll get it to where the entire dent is covered. And then we got a few small spots to fix that I already know are low. And then we also got to get to this. This is where my sander actually took a crap, and I tried to do it with the angle grinder, and I realized that there was Bondo under it, so I was just going to make it worse. So I stopped where I was and get a DA sander. So that's what we're going to be doing today. First things first, guide coat. And I have some high heat Rust-Oleum black. It's going to help you identify the high spots and the low spots in the panel. And that way I can work the high spots down, and then maybe we can fill them with some Bondo. All right, now we got our guide coat sanded down, and it gives us essentially a roadmap to everything we need to see on this half of the trunk lid. Now you can see almost every one of those low spots, it's where it's like a divot, was essentially where I welded a nail on and pulled it up. Okay, so that's why there's a high spot right next to the low spot. All right, so no big deal. I had to get some structure and strength back into this side of the trunk lid. It was just flopping around. You put, a piece of like a cotton ball on that sucker and it would cave in. So it needed some kind of strength and structure. So that's the most important thing that we ended up doing. But because of that, I got all these high spots. You see it's really shiny right here. That's a high spot right there. There's a high spot right here. There's a high spot right here. This whole section is low, okay? Now that's probably all gonna end up being filler because here's where it was kinked on our trunk lid at the actual curve for the shape of the trunk lid, where it bends to go downward. And it was literally kinked and caved in right here, and I had to pull it up. So a lot of this stuff is just necessary, and what I'm gonna try to do is the best I possibly can to get some of these high spots down. Like, see, this one is apparently really high, just in that spot. So where I cut the nail off in the center of that is obviously low. So we'll go ahead and just try to knock it down some, and we'll go right in the center of that thing, and it's already low, so it's gonna have some Bondo in it anyway. But we're gonna go ahead and knock that down a little bit more so that the whole area around it is low, right? To where we can just fill that whole thing in with some Bondo and good to go. Now you can honestly see where the picture was drawn in this trunk lid for like years, right? So in case you really wanted to know, okay, there was two eyes and like a shape. I don't know what this is. Looks like Lisa Simpson's hair. I don't know. But they obviously just gave up after that half. But all of the damage was virtually done here on the driver's side of the trunk lid. And you can see where I pulled it all up with all the nails I put in there and pulled up. And this side wasn't even half as bad. There is some low spots. Most of them are probably going to remain. I'm just going to fill them in with Bondo as long as I can get it somewhat straight. And this is I'm going after, 1960s race car, so it isn't going to be perfect. I'm not going to spend a million hours on this. Now, I could spend a ton of time getting everything perfectly straight, but all in all, the remainder of the car still looks like this, right? I mean, most of it's still this 1960s gold paint or whenever this was painted. And most of it's just scratched and sketched up, and I'm going to try and fill in some of those pieces of crap, but I got some dust up here already. But yeah, there's some things back here, like in the back. Like I told you, it was hit with a ball peen hammer, okay? You can see a couple of them here. These, there. There's another big one somewhere around here. There's one up here on the crease in the quarter panel. But they're actually pretty bad. Right here is another spot. But yeah, the majority of it's going to look like that. So there's no point in trying to kill myself on this thing. More or less, we're just going to try to get it presentable, I guess. And then the idea is I'm going to paint it white so it's not as easy to see the dents. And then we're going to put some stripes in it. So when you put stripes on it, guess what? It changes the whole pattern of your eye, and it allows you to no longer see as many dents as possible. So I'm just going to try to do the best I can. The Southeast gas was required. It had to look like it had to be painted because you could only be like, say, 4 years old, right? Because that's the idea. The 1967, so this is a 63, so it would only be 4 years old technically. Well, they said it had to be painted. They didn't say how well. All right, so that's just what I'm looking at. And how much, right? I could put freaking 35 coats of clear on this thing and it would look 10 miles deep. But all that clear going down the track costs money because it weighs something. So the idea here is to keep as light as possible and just fix the panel. So apparently the trick for this is you go in the center where the thing was actually high, or where it's low, but the high spot was created, and there you go. That's simple. All right, so you're going to use the point on your body hammer, and then you just whack it with another hammer. I don't know if you can even see that. All right, body hammer, other hammer. Just use it to point it in on the regular body hammer. I put a piece of tape on there so it doesn't damage the face of the body hammer. And I just whack it with a regular carpenter's hammer. A road map again, and you can still see there's some high spots around those dimples, right? Now I've dimpled them and it made them considerably smaller, the high spots, but they're still fairly high, okay? Now you can see this whole area. This, if I bondoed this right here, it probably would take care of the majority of all that. Same with here. I mean, it's already significantly low because it was wrinkled so bad right there. This one here, Bondo. Now this one has high spot around the low spot. That's because I was pulling up on it, and I created that. So I need to go around there a couple more times doing the same thing, and then it all should be fairly low after that. But we just keep dinging it and spraying it, dinging it and spraying it, dinging it and spraying it, and see what I come out with. Well, ding it, spray it, sand it, and what I come out with. So I mean, I'm no body man by any means. I'm like probably the world's worst. But the only way to get what you want is by doing it yourself. And that way, nobody falls short. It won't be perfect because, I mean, I'm not a good body man. But it'll be good enough. So, there you go. Here we are, round number 2 on Bondo. So, I got pretty much the passenger side of the trunk lid is pretty much done. I've had to go over some of the stuff here on the driver's side. There's just a lot more dents and dings than I thought there was going to be. And I found a few low spots in my Bondo that I originally had done. And some of it may be due to shrinkage. Some of it may be due to, I just didn't have it thick enough to begin with. But no big deal. We'll just go back over it. You do this as many times as you can until you get the thing smooth and flat. You can see how I just do my normal, throw it on the panel in a good spot and then start mixing it up. So I will have to sand it off there. I'm sure there's somebody's going to say something about that because I really don't know the techniques and stuff how to do this. I'm not a body guy. I literally just kind of am winging it most of the time. So, but other than that, it's coming out pretty dang flat and straight. And I'll just keep doing this until I don't feel any more dents with my hands. That's what we'll have. And then we'll be ready for some primer. So what I get ready for primer, right now the paint supply store doesn't have the primer I'm going to use. So I'm going to see if I could just turn some up somewhere and shoot this thing. A couple coats of primer, knock it down a little bit, you know, do myself a guide coat and make sure everything is smooth as possible. And then from there, we'll go on to throwing some color on it. In between there, you can see that it snowed here at my house. Hope you got something out of that today. I'll see you later.